Hello folks, Richard Moore, USAGSA, and I've got a good one for you today. An absolute ground zero of abject corruption right here in the dirty South. And we're fixing to revisit some of these corrupt criminal thugs in positions of trust that are responsible for bilking the taxpayers for millions of dollars. And there's some details about this that everybody needs. If you don't know, you're going to know here in just a minute what's going on. I'll bring you up to snuff on what Tater Reeves has done for this state. And the big question is why? Before I jump into this, and as it relates to the Rebecca Bumgardner case, the YouTuber that was set up with made up evidence, a perjury on a witness stand, because they didn't like her exposure of corruption in Lowndes County, Mississippi. As I've said, this corruption is deep and it comes from the highest order. You can't have one of the most corrupt sheriffs in the state of Mississippi operate like Eddie Hawkins does without the blessings of the chief law enforcement officer as well as the legislative branch of this state. And now I'm going to tell you what their new little deal is. Maybe it's not new. It may be new to some of you people, but it's not new to me. And by the time I get through this, it's not going to be new to anybody. But before I jump into it, I encourage you to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and to this channel, and click the little bell there where you get notified when I make a new video. So when we get new content, you have to sit there and wonder, you'll get notified. Also, in the description of this video, I'll have my links, my link tree. You can click that and you can get on, associate with some of the other platforms, not all of them, that we're on, blogs where I write about this stuff. Also, a link to Patreon. I encourage you to become a Patreon. By becoming a Patreon, you become a part of USAGSA, and you support us in exposing corruption nationwide and being a voice and warrior for victims that are victims of government corruption. So we expose the corruption, we name the criminals and what they do, and we do it relentlessly. And we also give a platform for the victims that feel like they have no voice. They've been marginalized, dismissed, and ignored. American citizens that, for some reason, have not been able to enjoy that inalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That has been a very elusive thing for many of Americans. And this country and this government has in fact written a bad check to millions of Americans. We have a constitution, we have the rule of law, and we have people in office that are there to enforce and uphold this constitution that are nothing but criminals lying under oath with their own agendas. They've written millions of Americans bad checks. And I'm going to continue, and USAGSA is going to continue to do its part in making that promissory note and that check good. Now, I encourage you to become a Patreon, and also in our link tree in the description of this video are the ways that you can support. Not only becoming a Patreon, you can have a monthly membership fee that starts at $5 and up. Also, other ways that you can support us. We're 100% supported by our followers and listeners. We're not endowed with taxpayer funds, unlike the criminals that I expose and this organization exposes and will relentlessly expose. So, here we go. I did a story a little over a month ago about Rebecca Bumgardner, a YouTuber in Lowndes County, Mississippi. Thing is right in Lowndes County, Mississippi, and she was doing audits exposing Crooked Eddie Hawkins, the sheriff of Lowndes County, and his Metro Sting unit, whatever they want to call it, and all the bogus malarkey that comes along with that. They got tired. They hate free speech. This country hates free speech. The fake media hates free speech. So how does that translate into the dirty South? If you want the truth, in, for instance, Lowndes County, Mississippi, I don't know where you're going to get it. You come to USAGSA and you're going to get it. Uncut. And this, you're going to get it. I shoot straight from the hip, boys and girls. I don't mince my words. I'm not trying to dance around a topic. I'm trying to walk on it, stomp on it, kick it, do whatever I have to do. But I'm not going to romance it and try to paint a pretty picture. I will not, and I'm not going to. I refuse to try to put lipstick and a dress on a pig and call it something else. Okay? So that's not happening here. So all they get down there is these lame, fake news outlets, WCBI and Columbus and WTVA and Tupelo, and they don't have an investigative, journalistic bone in their body. And I'll tell you, when it comes to exposing corruption, these sheriffs and the law enforcement, these officials, you'll never get the truth. You'll only get the narrative that they want you to get. Okay? Now, looks like my picture's just completely going blurry. That's another thing. Researching this story to give you an idea how bad these three-letter agencies hate what we do and try to interfere. In less than an hour of doing research online, my search engine blocked 7,000 tracking attempts. Isn't that something? 7,000. Wow. Now they on top of it. Big Brother wants to keep up with what we're doing. So they got tired of Rebecca Bumgardner, and they got a snitch and another snitch, and they got one snitch to sell dope to this snitch while they recorded it. Did that 3 times, and then they arrested Rebecca and the snitch for trafficking methamphetamine. The snitch never did get any time. So we got the snitch working for Lowndes County, selling dope to another snitch. They both working for the same person. And Rebecca wasn't even in the picture. Her testimony was in the case of 4 days of a kangaroo court trial, Lowndes County, Mississippi, thanks to Scott Colom, a darling of George Soros and Joe Biden. Yeah, back there in Lowndes County, Mississippi. She testified that Rebecca Bumgardner told her to sell the dope. And that's what they convicted Rebecca on, was because the girl said she told her to do it. And folks, you can't make this crap up. So what did they do to Rebecca? After this dog and pony sham of a trial, where everybody collectively was in on the deal, including her defense team, they gave her 24 mandatory years in the state penitentiary. Day for day, boys and girls. They effectively said, we're done with Lowndes County accountability. We've shut her up. No more cameras. No more free speech. It's over with. Ha, ha, ha. Well, and I think for about a year and a half there, or 2 years, she's been in prison for 2 years, I believe they thought that cat was in the bag for good and they could move on. And it's corrupt business as usual. but somebody else reared their head they didn't count on. They thought they had that base covered. And that's yours truly. And I'm sorry about that, Crooked Eddie, and the rest of you ass clowns that want to suppress free speech and punish free Americans for holding their officials accountable. Now, I'm not scared of you. I've got a backbone, not a wishbone. So, Rebecca is in Delta Correctional Facility down in Greenwood. And there's problems on the home front, boys and girls. As April Metcalf, Rebecca's sister, has been piloting Lowndes County accountability and posting vigorously on social media elements of her trial, discovery, confession tapes, all this crap. And I have been scrutinizing this deal as well. We hadn't even began, boys and girls, with this trash can of corruption. All of a sudden, Rebecca is having problems down at Delta Correctional Facility. You see, Eddie Hawkins was with the Attorney General's office or public safety under that element, working for Mississippi Bureau of Investigation or Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics, and busting Indian ran stores that were selling supplements and crap like that. He takes, but some reason he decides he's gonna come down, scared run for sheriff, and gets it, slams dunks. And boy, this hog is having a field day. So Jackson, Mississippi, the capital, all these are in concert with supporting the sheriffs statewide. Lynn Fitch, the Attorney General, will not prosecute a sheriff. I'm telling you, when they do investigate a sheriff or something like that, they are nothing but the patsy or the sacrificial lamb to keep the sham going. She's as corrupt as they come. That's Lynn Fitch, the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi. And her family or forefathers who are all Klansmen. And for those that think the Ku Klux Klan is something of days gone by, that you are got your head somewhere it doesn't need to be. Are you serious? You really? Just because they're not wearing the pointed hats and having kumbaya circles around a flaming cross does not mean they're gone. If they've been accepted into the fabric of society, it's still preachers, judges, businessmen, attorneys, and law enforcement, and your average inbred redneck are still a viable and force to reckon with in the dirty South, especially in Mississippi. Now, Rebecca's having issues down at Delta Correctional Facility. And so I've got news for you, Delta Correctional Facility. Let me be real clear. Karen Delaroche, and this is the clown they've got running this prison as the warden. I believe she was from New Mexico, working for Corrections Corporation of America. That privately funded quagmire was the reason Delta Correctional Facility was shut down for several years, because CCA was running that deal, hundreds of millions of dollars, and the state finally shut it down. It's costing too much. CCA's got problems all over the country. A for-profit deal, gouging the taxpayers. Now, the state of Mississippi has reopened this deal, and they're running it. And then Christopher Epps, the former commissioner of Mississippi Department of Corrections, on an array of federal crimes, was finally indicted and is sitting in federal prison. I was one of many people that was bringing his crimes to light. I brought a federal lawsuit in 2016 and named him. So I'm not just kind of reading something in the newspaper. I've got good authority, folks, about this criminal, and was able to operate for years. The governors knew it. Attorney General knew it. Hell, the FBI knew it. But after it gets so out of control and enough people, they have to do something. And they did something. He's in prison. One would think that praying, Bible reading, church pew riding Tater Reeves, and I don't begrudge him for any of that. I do, however, begrudge these fake Christians and these fake churches of thinking that their narrative and the way they think is the way it's going to be, and damn anybody else, and damn any other spiritual beliefs or anything else. That's the mindset that you have in the state of Mississippi. And you've got hordes of narrow-minded people in the state of Mississippi. I've always said, if you get these narrow-minded people, if their asses was as narrow as their minds, you could get the whole world of them on one pew. But unfortunately, it's not. But you would think that Tater Reeves would take the high ground and say, you know what? The feds have been investigating multiple times of Mississippi Department of Corrections, making them shut them down, putting them under conservatorship, and eyeball them for everything from killings to gang affiliated employees. It's a wreck. Unconscionable. Well, they think they really have turned the page on this deal. Right now, the Mississippi Department of Corrections is under a Department of Justice investigation. And it's a big deal, folks. The jury has not come in on that yet. They have still, the housekeeping and the window dressing is not finished, I promise you. So who does Tate Reeves go and hire? He hires disgraced warden from Angola, 20 years of Louisiana, Burl Cain. After Burl Cain started getting investigated and they started exposing him, he abruptly resigned and stepped down in 2015. Now, his fan base, just like if you read what the Mississippi Department of Corrections have got, you better have 2 or 3 hours to read their crap and all the praises they're giving Burl Cain. You know, from everything he's running churches and religious programs, teaching people in comas how to read, all kinds of crap. And they've got him placed right in there with next to Jesus Christ. And they make a small mention somewhere that they vetted him and that his past, his criminal activities, all that was has been put to rest, and it wasn't even married to it, blah, 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 blah. Talking points. Let me tell you, folks, there's a lot of people in Louisiana thinking, scratching their head. Really? You mean to tell me that somebody, see, well, Burl Cain's hiding behind this. I'm going to preach God's word, give everybody a Bible, blah, blah, blah. All the while, what they not say is Burl Cain, they were destroying rosary beads from Catholics. If you're any other religion, you was hit. And you're still hit. Single-minded. If you're not a fundamentalist, independent Baptist, brothers and sisters, you are not in the club, and you will not be agreed with nor tolerated. Zero tolerance. Now, but they didn't need that because the good old Bible thumpers in Mississippi, that's what we need. A God-fearing, really. Well, the Ku Klux Klan's a God-fearing organization. That's right there in their tenets. They got red crosses on their robes. They don't burn crosses, they light crosses to enlighten the world. Jesus lighted the world. They still call themselves Christians, God-fearing people, doing God's work. That's why it became so powerful. Now it's mainstream. I wear the hoods and stuff. We don't need to burn them crosses. They ruined that for us. They mad about that. They mad about the Confederate flag. Can't fly that no more without getting stereotyped. So anyway, they hired Burl Cain. Now, Burl Cain had one deal down there where they get truckloads of expired food, canned food, to the penitentiary. And folks, they can't make this stuff up. And getting the inmates to scratch off the labels where the food expired, relabel it to put it back in date, and sell it to third world countries because their laws weren't as restrictive as the laws in the United States of America. That's a fact. Look it up, folks. I ain't sit there and spit. I mean, okay. Now, does that sound to you like a God-fearing, good, Bible-thumping, believing Christian has figured out how to get prisoners work for free, and he's going to make some money, hoodwink some third world country into buying expired food? That finally had to get a federal judge that step in and say, oh, hell no, we ain't going to do that. So he scuttled that. And so Burl Cain's son, Nate, whatever his name, it doesn't matter, was awarded at another prison in Louisiana, went straight to the penitentiary for his crowd. Burl Cain was accused and implicated, and not only was nepotism a problem, friends and families, but hundreds of thousands of dollars and funds and stuff that was spent and using inmates for personal gain. Doing what sounds like Chris Epps. If you know anything about Chris Epps' deal, put Burl Cain in there, it's more of the same, boys and girls. So he eased that. Now, why didn't they put Burl Cain in prison? Well, he was in there under the auspice of Edwin Edwards, that criminal. And Louisiana loves criminal, corrupt politicians, folks. Even more, I think, than Mississippi. But that, we may have to reevaluate that. So Edwin Edwards finally went to federal prison. And then you had Huey P. Long, Kingfish. They've got a long history of that. Now, Burl Cain is affectionately called in the state of Louisiana, the newspapers and everybody, they refer to him as Boss Hog. Now, anybody that's watched Dukes of Hazzard knows who Boss Hog is. You can't say Burl Cain without the next words being Boss Hog anywhere in the state of Louisiana. So, we've got a corrupt Boss Hog now. Yes, sir. In Jackson, at running a multi-billion-dollar, failed, broken prison system. Said, well, he's getting, putting air conditioners in all of them. Well, I promise you, Burl, you've got people thinking that you're writing checks for these air conditioners. Who's writing checks for all this shit? We are, okay? And you were a criminal in Louisiana and you're a criminal in Mississippi. You may make people think that you got Jesus, and you may have it written all over the place. But I will promise you, the God I serve does not work up schemes how to get truckloads of food, scratch the label, relabel it, and sell it to people who don't know no better. Really. If we don't talk about anything, if we just talk about that, the fact that you was doing it and a federal judge had to stop you should tell everybody what they need to know. Well, I don't need to hear anymore. I don't care if you're reformed. You ain't got no business running the Department of Corrections, Tate Reeves. I mean, how hard was that? What they got on you, Tate, for you to have to do that? Really? And then they hire this Karen Delaroche out from New Mexico. She's not from Mississippi. That was Burl Cain. For some reason, Tate Reeves and the Mississippi Department of Corrections are unable to find good people within the state of Mississippi to run this network of criminals. So they're recruiting them from outside the state. What's the deal with that? The qualified people in the state of Mississippi, they just say there's not anybody in the state of Mississippi qualified. We will have to bring them from other parts of the nation. And I'm quite sure that Burl Cain's hand-picking these people, that he knows he can get in there, they'll get on his program. So I got news for you, Burl Cain. We've got a whole new deal here, and I'm gonna make you a what's for dinner today and tomorrow. I'm gonna keep on until the point is made, and the rest of your cronies down there in Jackson. But I want to highlight Karen Delaroche down at the Delta Correction Facility. Rebecca Bumgardner received a package over a week ago of several hundred documents of discovery because she is in an appeal process amongst a lot of other things with her wrongful conviction and this kangaroo court sham trial that she had in Lowndes County. And I know you've been directed to try to put that in a log jam and to drag her. And every time you hear something that you don't like, you try to penalize her. For instance, calls have been attempted for the last week relentlessly, sun up to sundown, to contact you. The numbers listed, and Burl Cain's office. Ain't nobody answering the phone. Ain't nobody returning no phone calls. Let me tell you something, Burl, Karen. You're a public servant. It's our money paying you. And we're paying for them phones that you don't want to answer. Okay? And I'm telling you, you better have a real come to Jesus moment. We're paying for this crap. We're paying for your ass to be able to do your job, and your inability to pick the phone up and return a phone call to a taxpayer is unacceptable. And so the governor's office was contacted this morning. A member of the governor's office contacted those folks. Said, this girl saying she's not getting her mail. The Delta Correction will not correspond with Rebecca's family or friends about anything. Immediately after this, a phone call or something was made, Rebecca's sister gets a phone call from Rebecca from the prison. They just walked in here and told me I couldn't have commissary anymore. They're pulling. They pulled her. They put her on restriction for not. She didn't do anything. That's how they work, boys and girls. In these draconian prisons, especially in Mississippi, they have very few privileges. But say, well, they don't need privileges. Lock them up, throw away the key. My ass. That sounds good until your ass gets locked up on a bunch of trumped up charges on a wrongful conviction. You ain't done nothing wrong. And you got 24 mandatory years. So anybody's got that to say, you find somewhere to go. I'm not the person to hear it from some narrow-minded moron who hadn't got a clue what's going on. So they have very few privileges. So you go take her commissary. And for what? Because a call was made to the governor's office because Burl Cain's office and you can't, none of y'all do your damn job, answer the phone, and explain to me where the girl's late. Let me tell you, Burl Cain, let me tell you, Delaroche, y'all standing and trying to stand in the way of something that's way bigger than you, okay? I suggest that you figure out how to turn the page on this bull crap and let her get her mail, and whatever else you think you're doing, back your ass up. Because if you don't, let me tell you, here's your ultimatum. Until you do, I'm not backing my ass up. I'm going to be on you like green on grass, honey. And I'm going to stomp on it every possible way imaginable. You can believe that. I'm not the one that's going to shut up. You're not going to mistreat somebody that's already living in deplorable conditions, that already has been abandoned and absolutely neglected by our legal system, by our justice system that I believed at one time was not perfect, but the best in this world. It has failed her and her family and thousands of others miserably. And you've got the audacity to sit there on her legal bill, trying to block her ability to be able to properly mount a legal defense. What you're doing, Karen, which is an appropriate name, is illegal. Yes, it's illegal. You're interfering and you can quote policy or whatever else you want to say. You're interfering, and that's where I'm going with this. Burl Cain, you're interfering. That's where I'm going with this. And I know you thought these bodies were buried, and you don't want nobody digging up bones. There's new bones, but we're going to dig them bones up. We're going to keep digging them up. So go on and keep dragging Rebecca Bumgardner down there at Delta Correctional Facility. Karen, you keep it up, honey. I don't care how long you do it. I'm sure Rebecca knows that now she in there trying to fight, there's some people out here that are going to fight. And we're going to do it in real time. I'm not going to write letters. I'm not going to whine and cry on Facebook or none of this other petty ass shit. I'm going straight for the jugular vein. I'm going to make sure that proper journalists and the proper government agencies and anybody else with a set of eyeballs and ears gets the memo on this deal, and they're going to keep getting the memo. So, folks, that's my piece on it. I appreciate you. I want you to subscribe and share this and share it relentlessly. And stay tuned, honey, because I'm telling you, if I don't get a good report this time tomorrow, Karen, Burl, I'm going to be back on here. And I'm going to do it until the cows come home. And see who outlasts who. I don't know. You might outlast me. But I'm going to tell you one thing. You're going to have it to do with this old boy here. And with USAGSA. This is what I do. I put these corrupt criminals on blast, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to do something about it until change comes. Until next time, God bless you.
And I promise you this, above all else, I'm going to be more obnoxious, more overbearing, and I'm going to make you all learn to love it, because you'll have no choice.